Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Sarasvati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Samasta Janakalyani Niratam Karunamaya Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahmavidvaram Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Lankayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Paramanandamadhavam Paramanandamadhavam. Okay. Let us read what we have done last time. We will read verses 18, 19, and 20. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuniche Vashwapakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha Ihaivaterjita Sargaha Yesham samye stitam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmani te stitaha na prahrishyet priyam prapya no dvijet prapya cha priyam sthira buddhira sambudhaha brahmavid brahmani stitaha. So we are speaking of the one who has this knowledge of truth, this knowledge that I am Brahman and this whole world is an appearance in me. Ekam eva advitiyam. I am that which is one alone without a second. And this being who has realized the truth, then according to verse number 18, they see oneness in everyone. So whether it be a Brahmana, whether it be a Shwapaka, somebody who cooks and eats dogs, or a cow, a dog, an elephant, they see that same oneness in all of creation, however they interact according to what's required. And this is because their eyes are now immersed in the substratum instead of the surface. When we look at a person, we normally just look at the surface. How does this person look? How are they talking? How are they walking? You know, they're wearing the same clothes they wore last time. These kinds of thoughts come to our minds. But their attention is always on the surface. That this is my, in the substratum, that this is my own self. This being is my own self. So their attention is in the substratum and not the surface. Then in verse 19, very beautifully it said that these people who have known the truth, who know the truth, by them the world is conquered. So here we saw a new meaning of conquering the world. It's not that we go and take other people's possessions or properties or places or things. It's not that. It's not that we keep conquering others, but it's actually The wise, they transcend the world, wherein the world can no longer touch them. When somebody conquers or invades another country, the other country becomes submissive. They lose their resources, they lose their rights, they lose the ability to do anything. In the same way, this Brahmavid, this knower of Brahman, has conquered the world in such a way that the world loses their own right to do anything over him or her, over that Brahmavid. And why is that so? Because this Brahmavid now is resting in that Samyavastha, in that I am, in that oneness, in that source of everything, that Sat Chit Ananda. That Brahmavid rests in that. So the world cannot touch that Brahmavid. And that Brahmavid knows that Brahmavid means knower of Brahman. The Brahmavid knows that Nirdosham Hisamam Brahma. That Brahma is Nirdosha. It is without any defect. It is without any attribute. No attributes of the body can touch Brahman, because even the body can't touch Brahman. No attributes of the mind can touch Brahman, because the mind can't even touch Brahman. No attributes of the intellect can touch Brahman, because the intellect cannot touch Brahman. The very ego cannot touch Brahman. Brahman is nirdosha, without any defect, and nirguna. And in this defectless, attributeless, in this pure Brahman, Brahmanistita, they are established in this. And therefore, the world cannot touch them, because they know they are untouched. They are untouched. They cannot get swayed by the ups and downs of the world, because they are rooted in the changeless self. And that comes out in shloka number 20, where it says that normally when we get something we like, we're very excited. And when we get something we don't like, or when we don't get what we want, we get very sad. And so we go through lives with all of these ups and downs, but not the knower of truth. Whether they get what they want or they don't get what they don't want. First of all, they have no such wants. They are unshaken. And they are unshaken. Why? Asambudaha. They are no longer fooled by the world. We saw last time that fool means one who focuses on the outer and on the lower. So F-O-O-L. Somebody who focuses on the outer, this body, this mind, this intellect, and then the lower realms of existence. That's a fool. So their asambuddha means they are no longer fooled by this world. That the world can give them an ounce of bliss that they're looking for. They're not fooled by that. They know that the world can't give them that. And so that represents Shravanam. Asambuddha represents Shravanam. They have listened to the scriptures and they have understood that this world cannot give me whatever it is that I search for, because I'm actually searching for my own self. And how can the world give me that? So they're no longer fooled by the world. And sthira buddhihi, in verse 20, means the one who's done mananam. Because what makes the intellect asthira? Sthira means steady. Asthira means unsteady. What makes the intellect unsteady? It's all of these doubts that we have about who we are, about how can we be Brahman, how can we be pure consciousness and bliss, how can we be the source of all bliss. All of these doubts now have set. So the mind is no longer wavering. It's no longer moving from this to that. It is steady. There's a doubtless conviction that I am that ultimate reality. So sthira buddhihi represents mananam. And brahmani stitaha, that represents nididhyasanam, that they are ever rooted in the self. So such erroneous notions that I am a jiva or this world is real, that doesn't come in their minds anymore. Sometimes with us, we might think, oh, I am this body. I feel like this body. I have the notion of the body. Or that sometimes we might think that this world is actually real. But for them, no such thoughts come because they're firmly rooted in who they are and firmly rooted in the fact that this world is appearing in them, pure consciousness. Brahmani stitaha. And therefore they are Brahmavid. They are Brahmavid. So now today we're going to continue to see what are the qualities of this Brahmavid, and also how we can aspire to gain those qualities so we can also reach that state at some point in time. So let us see verse 21. Bahya sparsheshvasaktatma.
Bahya sparsheshvasaktatma.
Vindatyatmani yat sukham.
Vindatyatmani yat sukham.
Sabrahma yoga yuktatma.
Sabrahma yoga yuktatma.
Sukhamakshayam ashnute.
Sukhamachayam ashnute.
Bahya sparsheshvasaktatma. Vindatyatmani yat sukham. Sabrahma yoga yuktatma. Sukhamakshayam ashnute. So what does this verse say? You know, sometimes people might feel like this jnani, this knower of truth, is like a stone, because they're not rejoicing when things, you know, that they might like come their way. And when things that don't come their way, you know, that they like, they're not saddened by it. Are they like a stone? Are they just like, you know, don't they have any reaction whatsoever? Actually, here, to remove that doubt, Sri Krishna is saying they only have that supreme bliss. So they might not have these harsh reactions what we have, but that is because they are resting. They are resting in supreme bliss. So they're not stone-like. They're actually like an ocean full of bliss. How so? Bahya sparsheshu asaktatma. Asaktatma means one whose mind is unattached. Unattached in what? Bahya sparsheshu. In external contacts, in external objects. Vindati atmani. They gain in the self that sukham, that happiness. Sabrahma yoga yuktatma. And this person who is engaged in the meditation of Brahman, Brahma yoga yuktatma, sukham akshayam ashnute. They enjoy ashnute, sukham akshayam, endless bliss. So with the self unattached to external contacts, he finds happiness in the self. With the self engaged in meditation of Brahman, he attains endless happiness. So here, actually, the first line resembles vairagya. So here, when we say this person's name is asakta atma. Asakta atma, so someone who is unattached. Who is someone who is unattached? Someone who is unattached is someone from whom the taste for objects have gone. Not somebody who's physically unattached, but somebody who's unattached in a level that the taste for the objects of this world have gone. The taste for what kinds of objects? Bahya sparsheshu. The taste for outside objects is not anymore there. And this kind of joy, here in the first line, Atmani means the mind. This kind of joy in the mind is what we call Vishuddha Sattva, the joy of supreme Sattva. See, we have the tamasic joy. Tamasic joy is when we're able to hurt someone or annoy someone that we don't like, or disturb someone. That's a very tamasic kind of joy. A rajasic kind of joy is when we get excited over something. we got tickets to see our favorite game, our favorite show, or we go to visit our favorite vacation place. That is a rajasic kind of joy. A sattvic kind of joy is the joy of watching the sunrise or the sunset, or just watching the water flow. It's a sattvic kind of joy. This is called Vishuddha Sattva. This kind of joy is the joy of I don't want. This is their joy. I don't want anything. Now, we might think we have vairagya or dispassion, but our vairagya is very selective. We say, I don't want that. I have vairagya towards chocolate because I can't eat it. I have vairagya towards long hikes because I can't walk that far. So we might have vairagya towards the things that we don't like and we can't do anyway. That's not vairagya. That's not the vairagya that we're talking about. This vairagya is, I don't want anything. I don't want anything. I don't want. And that is one of the most peaceful, blissful state at the realm of the mind. That state of not wanting. So in that realm, they get that joy. That sukham of na ichhami, I don't want. So wherein there's this beautiful verse in Vairagya Shatakam where everybody is running and rushing towards getting something and doing something and attaining something and becoming something. And the whole place is in a rush. Everyone's in such a rush. This jnani sits and says, I don't want. That is a really different kind of joy. And we see that also in Bhaja Govindam. Kasya sukham nakaroti viraga. For whom will not vairagya be a source of joy? The person who is okay to be with, okay to be without. The person who's okay to be in silence, to be in noise. To have things, to not have things. Because that thirst from them has gone. So this asaktatma, from the one whom Trishna, this craving from the mind has been removed, gains this bliss of vairagya. Now, that is still at the level of the mind. But deeper than that now is the second line. This, the one who's asaktatma, the one who's unattached, is Brahma Yoga Yuktatma. Means the one whose mind is in Brahman. Atma Yukta. The mind is in Brahma Yoga. The mind is united with Brahman. In Samadhi, in the realization of truth, the mind is united with Brahman. Means one who has realized this truth enjoys, revels in this undecaying happiness, in the happiness of the self. Sukham akshayam ashnute, revels in their own self. Now this kind of self, this kind of bliss in the self, that is akshaya, unending. Why is it unending? Why is the bliss of Brahman unending? Why does it not decay? Because the bliss of Brahman or Brahman is not something to be attained. When there is something that we want to attain, there's going to be a time we lose it. So if we want to attain some kind of status, some kind of position to secure ourselves, and we work so hard at doing that, guess what's going to happen? Somebody else will come and our status will go down. Somebody else will come and replace us, because that's the nature of the world, right? Gurudev says very beautifully in one of the talks, either people have gone or they're going. So don't think that anybody is staying. Either people have gone or we're going. We're not staying here. So when we work so hard to attain any status, that also will fall. Somebody also will come and take it over. So Brahman is not something actually to attain, because if it's something we have to strive to attain, we might lose it, right? Brahman is also not something that we produce. So some people have this idea that if we sit in meditation and contemplate and we produce this peace and this light, that is Brahman. That is not Brahman, because that's produced and that will also vanish. When you open your eyes, that will vanish. How can that be Brahman? If we're producing something in our meditation, a nice, calm state full of light and splendor, and when we open our eyes, it's gone, that is not Brahman. Brahman is non-decaying. Or some people also have this idea that we have to become Brahman. So when my mind is very sattvic, then I will become Brahman, right? But when it's not sattvic, then I will not become Brahman. So some days I am more Brahman than other days. Now, if we have to become Brahman, then we can unbecome Brahman, isn't it? Because the mind cannot always stay in a sattvic state. It will stay in a sattvic state for some time and then go to a rajasic state or tamasic state. Otherwise, we can't sleep, right? So if we have this idea that we have to become Brahman, then we can unbecome Brahman. Somebody who becomes a mother, then what happens is she becomes then a grandmother. So her mother status is changed now to a grandmother, right? So we unbecome. Or when a person has a mother or father status, when the body goes, that mother, father status will also go. So if Brahman is something that we have to attain, surely we will lose it. If Brahman is something that we have to produce, surely then there'll be, when we stop the effort, the production will stop. So again, we will lose it. If Brahman is something we have to become, then surely there will be times where we cannot be Brahman. So again, we will lose it. If Brahman is something we have to purify, we have to keep purifying for Brahman to happen, then surely that is not Brahman, because how much ever we purify the body, dirt will be there, as we saw last week. So the next day, we can clean our bodies as much as possible, but the next day, things will still come out of our eyes and our ears and our noses. We can clean our minds as much as possible, but again, some things will come out of our mind, right? That's not to say we shouldn't purify. Again, we should to a certain extent to realize this truth. But Brahman is also not something that we have to scrub and rub ourselves to purify and to cleanse. Brahman doesn't need that. Brahman is nirdosha. So in this way, Brahman is, it's already who we are. It's already who we are. That's why it's akshaya. That's why it's akshaya. It's undecaying, because it's already you. We don't have to produce it. We don't have to create it. We don't have to make it. We don't have to purify it. We don't have to become it. It's already you. It's ever attained, which means that it can never be lost. It will never decay. And so the whole thing about realizing this truth is to realize that we actually are already that. We don't need to search for happiness because we are already that. It's in fact, step one is actually searching from outside to the inside. So line one, you bring yourself from the outside to the inside because of vairagya, right? I tell you, search inside. But step two is when you search inside, stop the search. You are that already. Stop the search. Stop the search, because you are that and that alone. And so this jnani revels in that sukham, in the self, which is akshaya, non-decay. Just revels in that. There's one story that I really like. I was in Boston this weekend and I shared this story. There was one monk. So anyway, he had a temple. and like a monastery with a nice temple and everything, the kitchen, the rooms, everything was there. So this one king wanted to see the monastery. So the king came to the monastery and said, would you please show me around your monastery, because there's so many beautiful things here I want to see. It seems like such a peaceful place. I've heard so much about it. I want to see this place. So the monk said, okay, I'll show you. Come. So first the monk brought him to the kitchen and said, this is the kitchen. And the king said, oh, okay, what happens here? What do you do? He said, all the meals and everything are cooked here. Okay. Then the monk takes him to the quarters, the living quarters. And the king says, oh, what do you do here? And the monk says, here is where everybody sleeps, where everybody stays and rests. And the king saw the temple, said, can we go to the temple? And the monk just kept quiet. Then he takes the king to the hall and says, this is the hall. And the king says, oh, what do you do here? We hold our classes, our discourses here and everything. Okay. Then the monk takes him to the backyard where the garden is. Oh, what do you do here? The king says, here we plant everything and, all the crops, that's what we actually use for our cooking, eat. And then the king again says, can we go to the temple? Can we go to the temple? The monk says, let me show you the bathroom. And then the king looks in the bathroom. The king says, I've seen everything. I don't want to see your bathroom. I want to see that temple. Take me to the temple. And the monk said, I cannot take you there. Why? Why can't you take me there? The king said. Monk said, because everywhere I've taken you, you're always asking, what do I do there? What do I do there? In this temple, there's no doing, just be. Therefore, you cannot go there. You just be. This is called Sukham Akshayam Ashnute. Just be. But we don't know how to be. If anybody tells us, just be what? What do we do with ourselves now? We get so confused. But actually, in reality, it is just be. So this is what it means. Okay. Now what? So now here he says, this is a note of caution for all of us. This verse is for all of us. Because remember, for the jnani, the world is not there anymore. We see mirage water. And for us, people will have to tell us it's poisonous water, don't go drink it. For jnani, the water is not there. So where's the question of even going near the water? So for the jnani, they are in a very, very different state. Now this shloka is actually for us, coming to our level and telling us why we should start to turn within. So let us see verse 22. Ye hi samsparshaja bhogaha.
Ye hi samsparshaja bhogaha.
Dukkhayonaya evate.
Dukkhayonaya evate.
Adyantavantah kaunteya.
Adyantavantah kaunteya.
Teshu ramate buddhaha.
Teshu ramate buddhaha.
Ye hi samsparshaja bhogaha. Dukkhayonaya evate. Adyantavantah kaunteya. Nateshu ramate buddha. That na is very important. Nateshu ramate buddha. They don't revel in that. Huh? So ye hi samsparshaja bhogaha means these bhogas, these enjoyments, which are samsparshaja, born from sparsha, born from contacts with them. These are eva, they are only dukkhayonayaha eva, they are only wombs of pain, generators of pain. Why? Adyantavantaha. They have a beginning and end, O Kaunteya, O son of Kunti. Therefore, nateshu ramate buddha. The Buddha, the wise, nateshu ramate, they don't rejoice in it. The enjoyments that are born of contacts are only generators of pain, for they have a beginning and an end. O son of Kunti, the wise do not rejoice in them. So what does this mean? So this is a note of caution for us. First of all, what is bhoga? Bhoga is a word which means enjoyments, objects of enjoyments. What is that? Bhujyate iti bhoga means that which enjoys us is objects of enjoyment. Not that we enjoy. We don't enjoy the objects of enjoyment because we become slaves of them. That which enjoys us is an object of enjoyment. Because tell me, do you enjoy your phone or does your phone enjoy you? We have no control. We use it and then we're so addicted to it. We keep going. And the phone, if it were conscious, it would probably say, ha, 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 I'm the master of this thing because I can call it to come to me whenever I want. Do we enjoy that laddu or does the laddu enjoy us? Maybe we take one bite, but after that, that laddu has captured our mind, waiting for the next 2-3 more laddus. So not that we enjoy objects, they enjoy us. They enjoy us and happily they capture our mind, they capture our attention, they capture everything about us. So what is this bhoga? It is samsparshaja. These enjoyments, they are born out of contact between the sense organs and the sense objects. So only when the sense organs are in contact with the sense objects, then we have an experience of enjoyment or sorrow. So if there's a rainbow outside and my eyes are open, but I don't see the rainbow, I'm not having the experience. The rainbow might be there, and my eyes may be open, but I won't have the experience until I actually see that rainbow. Somebody says, look, there's a rainbow, and I see it. Then there's contact. My mouth may be open and food may be in front of me, but there's no experience. Only when the food comes into my mouth, only when there's an actual contact, then there's an experience. So my ears may be open and words are coming, but if I'm not really listening, if I'm not really taking it in, there is no experience. So all of the objects of enjoyment, they are born from the contact of the sense organs with the sense objects. When there's a contact, then I have the experience. And this is how we experience the world, when there's a contact. Now, is there a problem with such a contact? Or why can't we involve ourselves in the world? Is it so wrong? So first we'll go to this last pada. It says, Nateshu ramate buddha, means the wise ones. It's not that they don't engage in the world, but they don't revel in it. They don't get soaked in it. So at the mental level, sometimes we imagine all kinds of pleasures in the world. All kinds of pleasures. We do manoratha. The mind just keeps imagining, keep thinking about pleasures of the world. In the speech level, we talk about them. We're so excited about them, and we can go on and on and on about them. And then in the body level, we actually indulge in them, fully indulge in them. But the wise, they don't have such ramanam. They don't revel in it. They may engage in the world, but they're not dreaming or fantasizing about the joy that they can get from it. They're definitely not speaking about all of this pleasure at length. And they're not indulging for indulgence sake. Why? Because this is adyantavantaha. We go with this description first. Adyantavantaha. The things, the beings, experiences, the relationships of the world, adi anta. They have a beginning, they have an end. Adyantavantaha. Adyantavantaha. They have a beginning and an end. So they have this sense of temporariness. And inevitably, we will feel sorrow. We will feel sorrow. See, before going to explore this adyantavantaha, just think, what does it take to enjoy something? We actually don't know how to enjoy. We don't know how to enjoy. Because we have to enjoy anything, we must have a healthy body first. Otherwise, we cannot enjoy. If we have pain, something's going on in our body and sickness, very difficult to enjoy. Then we must have the proper mental state to enjoy. Must be calm and composed and, quiet. So many times we're just in a rush, thinking about, trying to say, when are we going to go to the next thing? When are we going to go to the next thing? Or many times we're thinking about so many of our worries. So our body may be in pain, our mind may be in worries, or many times we don't have the resources. We might not have the resources to enjoy also. So just to enjoy a great meal, the body has to be nice and fit. The body has to be hungry also. Otherwise, we cannot enjoy the meal. We'll be full and eating, or stomachache and eating. The mind has to be at so much peace and ease. And we also have to have a good meal in front of us. Now tell me, when was the last time we had all three factors? We may have the nice meal and a healthy body, but our mind may have been all over the place. So not even tasting what we're eating. We might have had a nice, calm mind and a healthy body, but no food there, right? Or we might have had a calm mind and food, but the body is in extreme pain. So even to enjoy in life, very few people actually do it. Very people are actually capable of enjoyment, because it requires all of these factors. And then on top of that, the objects or things that we enjoy, they have a beginning and an end. So there is a pain to acquire. We work so hard, let us say, to acquire a lot of money. And then what happens is, in the middle of it, while we have that money, we're also thinking how to secure it, where to keep it. Should I loan it to this person? Should I not loan it to this person? Where to spend? All the mind is just occupied in that. And at some point in time, that will also go, because nothing stays forever. It will also go, right? Everything that comes will go. And sometimes there's this saying, some people bring happiness wherever they go. So wherever, when some people come to us, when they arrive, we're very, very happy. And when they go, we're very sad. Some people, when they arrive, we're so sad. Why did this person come? And when they go, we're very happy. So inevitably, some point in time, there will be dukkha. There's a beginning, there's an end to it. It's a short-lived experience. In Vairagya Shataka, there's this verse that says, listen, no matter how long we've had something in our lives, a person, a relationship, a being, no matter how long we've had that, it will go. It will go. It will get over. Because that is how life works. But think about it. If that thing, if we are forced to separate from that thing, how painful it is. But if we willingly separate from that thing, how joyful it is. Separation is inevitable. But if we are forced to separate, it is so painful. But if we ourselves willingly separate, it's very joyful. Now, don't take separate. It doesn't necessarily mean physical, because you'll say, oh, is it separate from family, from children? Not in that way, but that's mental separation, that we're not depending on that being for our joy. That has to go. The dependence on somebody else for our joy, that has to go. Otherwise, we will be in big trouble. So these objects of the world, beings, relationships, experiences, they have a beginning, they have an end, and dukkhayo nayaha, they are wombs of sorrow. They are wombs of sorrow. Because what happens is, inevitably, when we get something, we saw this whole trail of the 6 gangsters. When we get something that we desire, there's sometimes fear that we will lose it. So we're always living in fear. There's worry, there's anxiety, or sometimes there is this feeling of pride that I'm so superior, I got it. And if somebody else got it, there's jealousy. And if we don't get it, there's anger. So inevitably, with these things that we acquire in the world, there's a dukkayoni only. It's a womb of sorrow. So many sorrows come with it. So not only is it temporary, not only is it pain, it's associated with pain. So I'll give you some acronyms here. This is the first thing we learned in the Vedanta course. So objects of the world have association with temporariness, AT, and then association with pain, AP, association with pain. And then what else? CD, they create dependence. Because how many feel sometimes, oh, I can't start my day without my morning coffee. What is that? Creating dependence. Oh, I can't sleep without watching this news channel. Creating dependence. Oh, I can't get to work or do this without checking my phone again and again and again. Creating dependence. So these objects of the world, they create a dependence on them. And not only CD, DI, they drain our instruments. So here in Kathopanishad, Nachiketa says this beautiful verse. He says, Shobhava martyasya yadantakaitat sarvendriyanam charayanti tejaha. Says all of these objects that Yamaraj, god of death, is offering Nachiketa, he says it's going to drain my instruments. What do you mean by instruments? My eyes, my ears, my sense of smell, taste, my memory, my vitality. What does it drain? It drains dharma. When we are indulging in so much sense pleasure, we forget what our dharma is. We forget what we're supposed to do, what our duties are, and then we get so stressed. I didn't do what I was supposed to do because I got lost in the Vishaya Ramanam, in reveling in the objects. So our dharma gets lost. Then virya, our strength gets lost. When we watch too much TV, too much, our eyes, the strength of our eyes get lost. The strength of our mind also becomes so dull. It's so dull because all we're thinking is Vishaya Chintanam. We're just thinking about the objects of the world. The mind becomes so dull and so gross. Prajna, and we lose our memory, our ability to think deeper. And Tejaha, we lose our brightness. So these things of the world, they drain our instruments. We might think it's pleasurable to stay out late and party all night and have a great time, but the next day we just feel so drained and so tired. And we might feel like it's so amazing to go on this great vacation, but how many of us, after going for this great vacation, say, I need another vacation because that vacation was quite tiring, right? This is what happens. DI, drains instruments. And then DG, dissatisfaction guaranteed. We will not be full with these pleasures of the world. So AT, association with temporariness. AP, association with pain. CD, creates dependence. DI, drains instruments. DG, dissatisfaction guaranteed. And so he says, be careful. Don't revel in it. Engage accordingly, engage in the way that we need to, but don't let your reveling, your mind, the reveling of your mind, your speech, don't let your indulgence be in that. Let it be something that's inside. Let it be in yourself. So start to turn yourself, change the direction, because the wise, they don't revel in the outside. So therefore, he says, be careful. There's one thing I want to read to you from Adi Shankaracharya's commentary here. He says, this is what the wise think. Na samsare sukhasya gandha matram api asti. He says, for the wise, there's not even a smell of happiness in samsara. Not even a whiff of happiness in samsara. Iti buddhva, having known this, Vishaya mriga trishnikaya indriyani nivartaye. From that Vishaya, from that objects which are like the mirage water, in actuality not there. Indriyani nivartaye. They withdraw their indriyas, their sense organs. Now, one word of caution, Adi Shankaracharya ji, Bhagavan Krishna, they tell us, listen, there's a word of caution because there's also a wicked thing on the path of bliss. We have seen how beautiful that bliss is of a jnani, but there's a wicked thing that we have to be careful of. And efforts should be made to ward off this wicked thing. What is that? Verse 23. Shaknoti haiva yasodhum.
Shaknoti haiva yasodhum.
Praksharira vimokshanat.
Praksharira vimokshanat.
Kama krodhodbhavam vegam.
Kama krodhodbhavam vegam.
Sayuktassa sukhi naraha.
Sayuktassa sukhi naraha.
Shaknoti haiva yasodhum. Praksharira vimokshanat. Kama krodhodbhavam vegam. Sayuktassa sukhi naraha. What does this mean? Sayuktaha, that person is a yogi. Sasukhi naraha, that person is a happy being. Who yaha shaknoti iha sodhum. Yaha, the one who is able, shaknoti, yaha shaknoti, the one who is able, sodhum, to withstand what? Kama krododbhavam vegam, that force of kama and krodha, that force which is born out of desire and anger, the one who is able to withstand this, where here, iha, praksharira vimokshanat, before liberation from the body, then that person is a yogi, that person is a happy person. He who is able, while still here in this world, to withstand before the liberation from the body, the impulse born out of desire and anger, is a yogi, a happy man. So what does this mean? See here now in the Bhashya, in the commentary, it says we have to be very, very careful. Because he says, Marana samakaranam jivataha avashyam bhavihi kama krododbhavaha vegaha ananta nimitatvat. Means there are so many ways in which desire and anger can enter our mind. So many ways. And so therefore he says, Yavad maranam, until death, tavat, until then, na vishrambhaniya, means don't be lax about this. Be very alert about this desire and this anger, because they are a vega, they are a force. When we're outside, right, and there's just drizzle, it's just drizzling, there's no problem, it's just drizzling. But when there's a downpour, it takes over us. When it's just a drizzle, we can walk and we can carry on with our activities. But when there's a downpour, we run to find some kind of shade. When we're driving and there's like flakes of snow, that's nothing, you can still drive. But when it's like there's a snowstorm and it's really snowing, we have to drive, we're overpowered. We have to drive oh so slowly, oh so carefully, because something might happen. When the river water is nicely flowing, very slowly, serenely, we can swim in that. But if she's like Mother Ganga, oh, if you go and you don't hold the chain, Gurudev says you end up in the Bay of Bengal. Forget about it. You don't go hold the chain when you dip in Ganga Maya, you will go. Because she's got a Vega. So when this desire and anger, when they're there, they have this crazy force that can take over us. So until the fall of the body, we should be alert. We should be very, very alert. What is this desire? This desire is when we have experienced something pleasurable in our life, and it leaves some kind of stain, some kind of remnant, which we remember. And so when we remember that, a craving starts and we say, I want that. Because I felt at some point in time, it made me happy. Therefore, in remembering it, in hearing about it, in seeing it, I feel that desire. I feel that desire, that craving that I want. And this could also be something that other people have kind of told me, oh, you will be very happy with that. And so that thinking about it, reveling in it, that thirst that I feel, that is called desire. Because I want it. Because I feel it will make me happy. What is anger? Anger now is that Vega, when it says that there is something that I really dislike. So in remembering it and thinking about it, in hearing about it, one's burns, their heart burns. Like Ravana, when he hears about Sri Rama, his heart's burning. Oh, who is that Rama? he sent his spies to go spy on Sri Rama, and he thought that Sri Rama would be so weak and everything like that. But the spies came back, and what did they say? They said, oh my goodness, Sri Rama's got a whole army. And you know that Hanuman monkey, the one who came and destroyed the whole Ashoka Vatika, he's the weakest of the army. So what the spies said. And so Ravana just burns hearing about Rama. But in a crazy way, that's also bhakti. That's a whole other portion. So when the person hears about something they don't like, sees something they don't like, remembers something they don't like, that is called krodha, anger. And so this kama and krodha, when they take over us, this desire and anger, they can just really overpower us and cause us to. And so he said, now how do they take over us? Here, so beautifully. First, he said, this is how kama takes over. Romanchana means horripilation. When I see something I like, there's a rongte, like there's a goosebumps that come. And then rishta netra vadanadi, the eyes become wide and the face shines because we're thinking about something we desire. So we get goosebumps, the eyes become big and the face shines. And this is what happens when we feel desire. And antakarana prakshobharupa, the heart beats so fast, so fast. This is the vega, this is the force. Then what about for krodha, for anger? What happens? Gatra prakampa, the body starts shaking. When people are angry, body shakes. Prasveda, then sweat's dripping. Then sandashtoštaput, the teeth are grinding, the lips are grinding because you want to say so many things. You know, the lips and the teeth are, they're clashing against each other. And then raktanetradi, then the eyes become so red. This shows that kama, that krodha have taken over us. These are the indicators, the lingas, that desire, anger have taken over us. So therefore he says, be careful, be alert, because this can at any time take over us. And when they do, we will fall. How will we fall? That we will take up next week. So what we have seen today, just in a nutshell, we have seen that this jnani has that vishuddha sattva sukham, means that very, very subtle sattvic joy of vairagya, of dispassion, wherein their thought is, I don't want. They are free from craving. And at the level of the self, they revel in that beautiful, amazing self, which is akshaya, undecaying. And a note of caution to all of us, don't revel in these sense objects because they have so many defects. They are wombs of sorrow. They have a beginning, they have an end. They create dependence. They drain our instruments, and dissatisfaction is guaranteed. And in addition, there's something that he wanted to warn us about, which is that desire and anger, because they can be a great force to take a seeker downhill. Okay, so we will stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. I have a few announcements, then we'll have the